overnights and then weekend mornings. And again, waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning after a Saturday night is really, really hard to do. But you do it, it's like exercising, once you get out of bed and put the shoes on and you're off, it's okay. I did that for 15 years, but knowing that that was not the lucrative part of the business and that I had more than just a desire to play records, I started sales and I started selling advertising time. And does anybody ever see the show WKRP in Cincinnati? Yes. Used to be on a long time ago. Well, the guy who was selling was the least interesting guy on the show, Herb Tarlick, and he was a slimy ad sales guy. And I had absolutely no interest in pursuing that part of the business. But I went and got a job at a radio station in the sales department and discovered that it's really a fascinating job, connecting people with marketing solutions and actually helping them grow their business. And you learn about all these other businesses besides just broadcasting. So I was on the air and selling simultaneously, basically working 7 days a week. There's no such thing as work-life balance at any point, I don't think, because the further along I've gotten in my career, the harder it's become to find balance. But pursued both sides. And now I'm the general manager of 2 Spanish-language television stations and 4 Spanish-language radio stations. All I wanted to do was be a DJ at XRT. Johnny Fever, right? And instead I went through Herb Tarlick. I don't know how that happened, but I will tell you what everyone seems to be sort of articulating, and what is absolutely true is you got to want to do this job. This has to be something like your neuroses. You have to want it so much more than what it's going to give back to you early on. Yes, it becomes very gratifying. Yes, there are many, many things that you get back out of it. But more than anything, I think a career in broadcasting, journalism, radio, TV, whatever it is, it has to be something that is fundamental to who you are, so much so that you're willing to give up more than what you're getting back. And for those people who have that sickness, there is a really, really, really wonderful reward for you, because it's a cliche. We probably all heard it. But if you can do something that you love, you don't have to work a day in your life. And I've put in a lot of hours, and I don't know that I've really put in a full day's work yet, 30 years in. It really is a wonderful thing. And do anything, take anything. My cover letter always used to say, I'll sweep the floors. I'll make the coffee, which there's no position of floor sweeper or coffee maker. But I worked for free just to be around it, just to warm your hands on the fire. The warmth coming off of it. Get to know everybody and anybody. Do anything and everything. And to those people who do really love it, you'll get a job. The folks who showed up here today, you'll get a job. You will ascend. You'll find the position that makes your heart flutter, and you'll have a great career. So.
Jenny is now going to tell us about her position. She's a senior web designer. What's a senior web designer? I don't know. Yes, I do. But Jenny, tell us about the position of senior web designer and your career.
Thank you. Does this work? I'm not used to these at all. I work in a very dark office, and that's how I like it. Thank you for saying my title. I believe it says social media manager in the program. I don't know where you got that. That sounds way cooler. I'm happy you did. Yes. Okay. I am senior web designer at the local PBS affiliate WTTW Channel 11. Spend equal amounts of time at 98.7 WFMT doing the WFMT.com website. I've designed the entire look and feel in the past 8 years for both the stations, as well as, and I can talk a little bit about news and local television by talking about Chicago Tonight, Check Please, and we have local guy Jeffrey Bear who does a lot of local tourism. So all of those things I've put my fingerprint on. I come from a very small town in Ohio called Lucas, and the closest thing that you might have heard of is our prison was the Shawshank Prison in one of my favorite movies, and we have some really cool tours there. So come to Lucas, Ohio. There were 47 people in my graduating class in Lucas, Ohio. And I knew I wanted to be a graphic designer since I was about 5 when I discovered construction paper and Elmer's glue, and I loved the smell of crayons. And I know this doesn't really have anything to do with probably your career path, but I can talk about, just having the right attitude and getting in the door. Can you hear me? I don't know if you can. Okay, good. So I was lucky because the University of Cincinnati was 3 hours away from me, and it's a state school, and it costs about $1,500 a quarter. And I got rid of 1,000 of that per quarter by having a scholarship. So it was practically a free school. But it happened to be one of the top 3 graphic design schools in the country, oddly enough, because the professors were all straight from Basel, Switzerland. I couldn't understand them, but they were wonderful. And it was a 5-year program. It was co-op education. So by the time I graduated, I had 1.5 years of internship and more than internship. They were paid positions. One was in Chicago. It was a graphic design guy who I had to basically just get his coffee. So that wasn't too good. Another one was for the stock exchange in New York, and I got $8 an hour. I lived in Greenwich Village. 3 other people in my room on the floor. I wasn't able to enjoy New York because I had no money. So I ate macaroni and cheese, but I walked a lot, and I rode the subway a lot. So I was a print designer when I graduated, and then I discovered I am not good at this. I can't stand print. There's too much room for error. When I figured out I wanted to be in the web, I didn't even have a web address. I'd never seen the internet, but I interviewed for a place called Neoglyphics, and they hired me because my portfolio was okay, but I made them laugh, and I had a lot of good educational background, and I had a 1.5-year internship, and I could do stuff. I could already do stuff, and so I got that. I was the first person to launch Sears.com, so I worked on Sears.com for 3 years. I worked on Wrigley.com, and my idea of web buttons was wadded up pieces of. I took pictures of chewing gum that I had chewed, and those were the buttons. I thought that was so cool. That didn't last long. That was not a good. No, that was gross.
Bring it
It was. I thought gross was equaled creative, but apparently not. So eventually, I took a couple of crappy jobs during the bad economy. But then I got hired at WTTW, and I thought it was a dream. And I still think it's a dream because I'm working with people like Rick Steves and Ken Burns, and I get to see the Downton Abbey photography before almost anyone. And it's truly fun. It's really fun. And where maybe your jobs would cross over, working with the news staff at Chicago Tonight. For instance, yesterday I was at lunch with a going away party for a content producer on Chicago Tonight. And at the very same time, every reporter at the table looked at their phones, and they had gotten the news that Barbara Bird Bennett, the CEO of the CPS, was going on leave because of federal investigation. And then about 5 minutes later, they found out that our cardinal had died. Cardinal Francis George, I believe. I'm not Catholic. I'm bad at this. But anyway, the whole lunch changed. Everyone skedaddled. We had to do a live panel last night. So my work balance is generally okay. My shift is 10 to 6. I don't get up at 4 unless I really want to do laundry or feed my children. Not really. Don't really care about that.
Wow. Oh my God, I love it.
So it's 10 to 6, but last night it was a lot later because I had to prepare photography and help the panel get ready to interview some of the Catholic leaders about the cardinal. And so there's a little bit of, uncertainty in my job, but I graduated a million kajillion years ago from college. So I I am striving for a little work balance at this point, and I know that's different than everybody else, but I need that, and I have kids, and I want that, and you can do that too. You might not be able to be on the air chasing really hot stories, but what I do is really fun. My last thing is my advice is to do something scary. I moved to New York by myself in college. I went to Europe when I was 17 to play in an orchestra, and I did Second City Improv, which was horrifyingly scary. I don't know why I did that, but I graduated and I put on a show. And all these things don't have anything to do with what you guys do, but they do shape you, and they give you confidence, and they make you bold. And boldness is really important. And I just learned that recently. So,
Did you say bold or
bold.
bald?
Oh, I'm sorry. I always had trouble with A and O. I think I'm done. I love my job. It's great.
Well, last, before we have the questions and answers, is someone who's worked, I think, in every city that I would like to have lived in. San Francisco, Dallas, West Palm Beach, and San Antonio. That sounds great. UB, tell us about your career.
Well, can I get invited to the Miami event next time?
But where's Greg?
I
I'm
love
glad you-
Chicago, but has anybody ever been to Miami? Yeah, okay. But I'm here, and I love it. And I love what I do. I don't work. Yeah, I don't work. And I always told myself that the moment that I said that I was going to work, actual work, I would probably like move, quit, or something. So, yeah, really, I really like what I do. I always say I'm going to the radio station. Oh, where you headed? I'm going to the station. Oh, where you going? I'm going to GCI. I'm going to the station. I never say I'm going to work. Well, there are a few days where I may say I'm going to work because it's fun. You know, I get paid to be me. You know, I'm exactly me. UB 2.0 on the radio. You know, because, you know, obviously I work for, you know, a radio station that's owned by not me. So I have to also, take care of their demands, the company's demands. So I take a 50-50 approach, you know, me, my creativity, my personality, and then, you know, what you want. So we pair it together and hopefully, you know, get some good ratings. My start was kind of nerdy, you know. I was a radio nerd, a geek, TV geek. And I was one of those that wanted to do I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a teacher, I want to be a news reporter, you know, I wanted to do it all. I wanted to do radio as well, but I wanted to do it as something fun, you know, a hobby. And then while I was in college, I realized, wait, I can get paid to do a hobby. So I did that. I started in Miami, and I didn't want to get paid in sunshine anymore. So I left. I'll be back soon, but and I wanted to just get out there. I wanted to live a little uncomfortable for a while because that's I was gonna save my advice for the end, but I'll probably try to just share it in these next couple of minutes. I wanted to live uncomfortable for a little bit and get out of Miami and see what it was like to go somewhere else. Luckily, where I was working, had a couple of people that were really great and became my mentors, and they connected me with somebody in San Francisco that started up a brand new radio station over there, and I left to San Francisco. So that was my first gig, Miami straight to San Francisco. That failed. We all got fired.
Oh.
I mean, I'm glad it happened, you know. First big, huge, you know, full-time job, fired. And how I found out was I got to the radio station for my 6 p.m. show to meet with my program director, you know, about a couple hours before. And the door was locked. I had a key because we were a brand new radio station, sort of a mom and pop operation in San Francisco, huge city, going up against the company I work for now. And it was interesting because my key didn't work. Yeah. I was the last guy on the air, you know, daily, and I had to lock up. So the key didn't work. I knocked, and this lady came to the door, and she said, hi, can I help you? I'm like, well, yeah, I work here. She goes, oh, have a seat in the lobby. We'll be right with you. I'm like, oh, no. So my program director was still there. They had to keep, there's some kind of FCC law where you have to keep like 2 or 3 people on staff while they're making a business transition or something. So they kept him and a couple of people, and he said, yeah, so we just been sold, and that's it. The station will change on Monday. I was like, okay, well, left there, went to Dallas, and from there went to West Palm Beach to do afternoons. Dallas, I was at K104, huge station. Yeah, Dallas. Yeah, and from there I went to West Palm Beach because I wanted to get a little bit closer to home. So I did afternoons in West Palm Beach, and then I got a call to do mornings in San Antonio, so back to Texas, and then got fired. But notice how I'm saying it with a smile. You know, it's going to happen, you know. And I really enjoyed being fired, to be honest, because I'm ready for anything now, you know. So I got let go from there. And wait, which firing am I on?
Oh my gosh.
Wait. Wait. The second. They went with the syndicated morning show, and they were really shocked to hear my answer when I was in HR to what they were doing. And I said, well, that's cool. And they was like, what, you're not upset? I'm like, well, you're paying out the contract. That's cool. Thank you. But they said they're replacing you with syndication. I said, cool. I mean, hopefully that'll be me one day, you know. So fine, let's move on, you know. So we kept a good relationship. That was actually the first company I ever worked for, Cox Radio in Miami. Went back to San Antonio. How I got the gig in Miami was interesting. I was changing a flat in Miami, and I got a call for an internship I had applied for. And this guy by the name of Derek Brown actually called for an interview, and he ended up hiring me instead. And I was working like 6 a.m., you know, Saturday morning at Hot 105 in Miami. It was the equivalent to V103. I was about 21 years old playing Anita Baker. So yeah, it was pretty cool because it was actually, you know, I'm an R&B guy, so it was actually a station that I had listened to. You know, it was one of those stations where like the Quiet Storm was like #1, you know, 6 years old and up, you know, #1 in the entire market. Well, I hopped around a couple of, you know, cities, and I ended up finally here in Chicago. My parents came from Cuba to Chicago, grew up here. My dad ran from the cold, so we're all in Miami. I was born in Miami. So there was still family here. I still have family here, actually, and I made Chicago, you know, my home, and I've been here 7 years now, doing afternoons on GCI. So it's been a great journey. I don't mind at all the couple of mishaps, the firings, and all that. I get to be myself. What I wanted to also stress to you guys is that what I see people are hiring for now is what you guys are learning right now in your generation, you know, social media, you know, Facebook, everything, blogging and everything. Like, you guys do it on a regular anyway. You know, this generation does it on the regular anyway, and that's what you're being hired for. So what you're learning in school is also great, but what you're learning as you're growing up is what's, you know, people are being hired for. One of my former interns just got hired to work at a big corporation to run their social media, or I don't even know if it's running the social media, but he's a part of their social media department straight out of college, $80K, $80,000. And I was like, wow. and for the first time, because, you know, he's a mentee, and for the first time I was like, what do I tell this guy? What do I tell this guy? What do I tell? He started making more than I did when I first started, you know? So he's a good friend of mine, so I told him, don't F it up. But I used the word, you know, don't, I mean,
Yeah.
we were having a drink. We were having a drink. I said, man, don't F it up, man. Don't F it up. Networking, what you're doing right now, awesome. Being available, a few people said it today, especially at the beginning. When you get a little bit more seasoned, then you can be a little picky, I think. Learn about unions. This is a union city. I wasn't in a union in any other market that I worked in. I would say learn about unions and learn about agents. I hope that in the questions later on, somebody brings up something about agents, because I would also like to hear from the other panelists about agents as well. Be ready to travel, go anywhere. I say I've learned so much. When I got to San Francisco, I said, well, I better prepare in case we have an earthquake and I'm on the air. You know, when I was in Miami, you know, we had tropical storms and hurricanes, so I was ready to, you know, go on the air with anything. I mean, we have fun on the air because all the stations I've worked at been primarily music intensive, but, you know, we have to be informative as well. That's another piece of advice: be informative and be responsible when you're on the air, if you plan to be on the air, or producing too. I mean, sometimes we are just with the mic and somebody else may be writing what I'm going to say. And, you know, God forbid I go on there and do a Ron Burgundy and screw it all up, you know, and read the copy wrong, you know. Be responsible. Go anywhere. Now I can cover blizzards. Been here. Intern. I would say the hardest part of being a radio personality is not taking things personal, because the title has the word person in it, you know, personality. In this business, you just have to take things, you know, on the business side. And that's where I would suggest you know, learn about unions and learn about agents especially. Let your agent handle, you know, your business. You know, you can have your little personal moments here and there, but keep that at home, you know, or on the screen or on the radio. You know, they love that. You know, no corporation wants you to be all emotional and behind closed doors, but they definitely want you to be emotional on the air. So show that. The best part is I get to be me. I want to say be informative, be responsible, especially, get uncomfortable, and you will only get to where you want to be in life by you. So even if you do go to the unions, even if you do go and get an agent, I mean, that agent may come to you and say, hey, you know, I want to work with you. But that's not where it stops for you. You better continue, because, you know, that agent is now representing you, you know, so you only go as far as you want to go. Internships, yes, we do have an internship program, and we actually have somebody here from iHeartMedia that will talk to you about it later on. I will say this. I've had a few interns that were on my show working with me that have made it to some good, big, powerful positions, and I'm proud to say that they've made it to positions above me already. One of them actually is the nighttime personality, DJ Moondog. He was my intern. He works from 6 to midnight, and his web numbers are higher, his ratings are higher, and I'm just proud, you know. I mean, maybe 10 years ago, I'd have been like, SHI, you know, the rest, like, dang, what another intern, DJ AO, he actually went to Columbia. He's now he went to Miami to be program director, and now he's in LA, also programming a radio station in LA, and a couple of others. So we do have an internship program at the station, so I could look around the room and see who's going to make it. I see a lot here, because that's what I do. That's what I did with those interns, you know. So holla at me.